Welcome everyone. My name is Mirza Aditya Rachmat, and here's my presentation for mind mapping for my class, Global Economy and International Business class. My ID number is 222-31007, with the lecturer of Professor Roy Sambel and Professor Yulita Susanti. So here it is. So this is mind mapping for global economics and international business. In the early class, we learned about global economy, where we learn about three pillars of new economy, which is cost reduction, better customer service, and transparency and competition in the market, which leads to the rise of new economy, which makes it more faster and more and faster transaction. And then there's globalization and localization, and there's unbundling and resembling businesses, and also laws and everything, which makes it a high risk and high return. Also in the global economy class, we learn about global economic turmoil, disruption, and VUCA, and also the Schrodinger cat. And then next we learn about global trade. Global trade, there's tariff and quota. There's also international trade and labor and environmental standards, which also leads to absolute advantage and comparative advantage of those. And there's also international opportunity with the tariff, quota, and also the international trade. Next, there is a global trade. The global trade includes international financial management, which also leads to international financial management tasks, which are choose capital structure, and there's raise funds for the firm, working capital and cash flow management, capital budgeting, managing currency risks, also manage the diversity of international accounting and tax practices, which also international taxation. We learn about the direct tax, and then there's indirect tax. There's also sales tax, and it's different between countries. And also in global trades, we learn about international monetary and financial environment. In this case, we have an international financial crisis. We learn about the subprime mortgage crisis, which is interesting. And there's also exchange rates and system. We learn that about the exchange rates, and there's four risks of international businesses, and the risks are some cultural risk, there's commercial risk, there's a country risk, and there's a currency risk. So there's a lot of risk for international trade. And also for our last project, we have an event analysis of on international business. There's 5 events that we presentate. We have a trade war between the US and China, and there's a global pandemic, the COVID-19, that affect all of us in this in the entire world. And there's also digital era, which has started in around the 2000s. I mean, early before that, but in the 2000s, there's a rapid new digital technology, and there's also the climate issues that's been going around. Also, the most recent is the Russia-Ukraine war, which affect our oil price. And there's also international business, which includes the globalization, and there's also a different in culture of international business, like is between countries. And there's also 4 level of international business activity, which includes domestic business, international business, multinational business, and global business. 4 of them are different, and 4 of them have a different strategy depending on what company affects the business. Also, there's a strategy of international business. We learned about that from the business standpoint. There's a global market opportunity to strategize between the company, and there's also a strategy and organizational of international firm. Like we learn about the big companies, what's their strategy, and what's different between the areas. And there's at last we learn about international business function, which includes marketing in global firm, like standardization and adaptation, depending on the products. Does it affect the cultural standpoint? Also, there are problems like in the HR management and in global firm, especially the international labor. Then that's all for our mind mapping. Thank you so much for listening, and see ya.